The Nintendo Switch launch has been met with criticism over a lack of available titles, even despite the overwhelmingly positive reception of its flagship game, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. With that said, I was able to get my hands on one of the prime offerings on the system's eShop, published by Square Enix and developed by Tokyo RPG Factory. I'm Colton for onrpg.com, and here's our review of I Am Setsuna for the Nintendo Switch. I Am Setsuna is a traditional JRPG that takes a massive amount of inspiration from the Super Nintendo classic Chrono Trigger. I've only played a tiny amount of Chrono Trigger, but I've played and seen enough to know that the inspiration is quite obvious. So much so, in fact, that the battle system feels nearly identical. Players battle monsters and gain XP to grow. New skills are unlocked through the crafting of Spritnite, which are gems made of concentrated magical energy. Certain skills can even be comboed together to create new effects and/or increase their damage. One or two skills, like Crosscut, see a return from Chrono Trigger almost verbatim. Player turns are based on an active time counter. As time progresses and damage from both sides is dealt, a momentum meter fills for each character's well, stacking up to 3 times. When a character with stocks of momentum executes an action, they can press a button to have additional damage or effects applied if they time it correctly. This is a nice twist on the ATB system, which allows for more participation from the player aside from just hitting the menu choice you want and waiting it out. As is the case with most blockbuster RPGs, the main draw for I Am Setsuna is the story. The narrative tells a story of a world constantly ravaged by vicious monsters that are growing smarter and more evil by the day. Every 10 years, humanity selects a sacrifice to appease the monsters in order to bribe them into non-violence. The game follows Setsuna, the currently chosen sacrifice, on her quest to reach the Last Lands, the home of the monsters. There are also plenty of side conversations and objectives to accomplish, most of which contribute in some way to fleshing out the game's world and filling us in on how humanity got into such a state. The storytelling gets a little heavy-handed in places, and in a very few select spots it can feel like you're being beaten over the head with an exposition stick, but overall, the characters have plenty of charm and I found myself dying to find out what would happen next, desperately talking to every single NPC to uncover any hidden details about the game's world I possibly could find. Unfortunately, some characters are relegated to repeating hints about where to go next, and not much else. Visually, I Am Setsuna is stylized and appealing, although it doesn't seem to challenge the hardware at all. It's not pushing the boundaries of high-definition gaming by any stretch, but the blend of colors and art style were attractive enough to keep me invested. The game's entirely piano soundtrack, while atmospheric, fitting, and quite enjoyable to listen to, didn't have the memorable punch of a Final Fantasy or other first-party Square Enix title. That said, it does its job quite well, and I found myself downloading it onto my phone anyway for listening during nighttime drives in the car. It's really good stuff. All in all, I Am Setsuna is a love letter to RPGs of days gone by. Well, one RPG in particular, really. That's not a bad thing, though. Its gripping, if not sometimes overbearing narrative, awesome soundtrack, and classic Chrono Trigger-style gameplay are sure to please fans of the more traditional RPG. If you happen to own a Switch and you're looking for that next title to play after Zelda, look no further. I give I Am Setsuna for the Nintendo Switch an 8 out of 10. Well, that's all for today. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and keep it locked on onrpg.com for all the latest gaming news and reviews.